So, Jonathan, perhaps you could start by giving us a bit of an introduction. Tell us a bit about you, about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, no, there's a good place to start, Martin. So who am I? Jonathan Gibson. Jonathan Gibson is the owner of Wells Gibson Limited. We are a small boutique business based in Dundee, Martin. We've been trading for, I think we've been in business for about five years. I'm now in my fifties, early fifties, and the family married. Wife is a music teacher. I have three gorgeous daughters who are 10 and 14 and 15 and growing far too fast in my opinion. But
Yes.
yeah, no, they're wonderful, and been a very difficult year for them, obviously, with all the disruption at school and so forth.
Mm.
But I, in terms of, I love this job that I do. I love serving and advising clients who want to, to face their financial futures with that sort of increased confidence and security, if you like.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that pretty much me. Outside of work, I enjoy going, doing a bit of training. A couple of years ago, I actually ended up getting involved with the University of Dundee Boxing Club of all things,
Right.
and enjoyed doing a couple of training sessions with the guys up there. Just very different environment to what I'm used to day, but enjoyed the fitness aspect of it. Thankfully, they don't put me in the ring with some of those guys, but I enjoy all the fitness side of things, and I think it helps to deal with a lot of anxiety
Mm.
and and so forth. And during the better months, I do enjoy a round of golf, if time allows, and so forth. So I think that that's it. Involved with the local church as well. Member at the local church, and that's a big part of my life as well, I would like to think. So yeah, I think I don't know if that
No,
answers your
absolutely
questions clear
fantastic,
enough about.
fantastic introduction. And I thought a good place to start with this conversation was the quote on the wall behind you, which is "Real wealth is about much more than money and possessions." And yeah, talk
Yeah.
to me about that and why that quote is so important.
I think it really struck with me. I remember watching Simon Sinek's video about the start with why,
Mm.
and it really resonated with me. And where he talks about very clearly that the great companies of the world, all companies are great at telling you what they do and how they do it, but it's actually the great companies that explain why they do what they do. If you like, it's
Mm.
why they get out of bed in the morning, and the why is never about the why should never be about making money. That's just a consequence, if you like, of why we do what we do. And it really resonated with me. And I remember a conversation I had with our friend Michelle Hoskins a few
Mm.
years ago now, and we talked at length about about this, I, and I think that was very much the starting point for me, really starting to think, well, what is my why? And I suppose the really why about this is really that idea that real wealth, if you like, or real wealth planning is just so much more than money and possessions.
Mm.
And actually, to further develop that was a strong conviction that if anything, I believe that real wealth is a fulfilled and purposeful life.
Yeah.
That actually, as humans, I believe we've all been created with a purpose. We are all absolutely unique, and I firmly believe that a proper approach to financial matters or wealth matters, and a proper approach to financial planning, wealth planning, can actually seriously and help people to live that life, that purposeful and fulfilled life. And because it is so much more than just that biscuit tin of policy documents and bank statements, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, this often confuses people, doesn't it, when they first come to see a financial planner and they assume the conversation is going to be about ISA allowances and pension pots and investment portfolios. And actually, before we get to any of that stuff, we need to come right back to the start. And as you say, Simon Sinek's view of start with why is so important. But you mentioned the word purpose there, and your new book is Purposeful Wealth. And purpose, I guess, is such a big driver of all of this.
It is. It really is, and I think that's the art of financial planning, isn't it? It's financial planning has to start with the client and looking at who's important to them in their life, what's important to them in their life, why are these things important to them in their life, and really digging deeper. And I think it's only when you discover or uncover these matters, you're in a far better position to make sense really of the life that's ahead of us all, and what part the this thing called money is going to play in helping us to fuel that, or
Mm,
or help to fulfill these things. Um, so it's really it is so important, and it's one of the things that I suspect you love to discover about people, and is the who's important to them, what's important to them, and why these things
mm,
are important. And it's, big questions. We need to be asking these big questions, such as what's important about money to you. What dreams do you fear that you won't achieve? I think is so important. And
mm.
actual, and in fact, I remember saying, my late father, my dad was only 60 when he died. It'll be 15 years this year that my dad passed away. And my dad was largely responsible for introducing me to the world of financial services all those years ago. And I remember when Dad was dying, and we happened to be on a walk that took us round this sort of cemetery. He had cancer of the esophagus, and I remember him just highlighting to me. He said, "If you look at the gravestones in a graveyard and look at the inscriptions on the gravestones, you don't actually, you never see 'Here lies whatever the name of the person is,' and
Mm,
successful accountant or successful businessman, or you might occasionally see something, in a gravestone, someone responsible for creating, some invention or something. But in general, it's fair to say that most cemeteries say things like 'dearly loved brother,' 'dearly
yeah.
missed sister,'
Mm.
or these type of things. And I think that actually, if we reflect on this past year, the one thing that most of us can all say we've missed is that sense of community and social interaction with the people we really love and care about.
Yeah, no, 100%. And before we started recording this conversation, you and I were having a conversation about the things we miss, I guess, during that past year, during that pandemic experience. And it is about that, that sense of community, that sense of adventure as well, that ability to go out and travel to new places and see and experience new things. And
Yeah.
what have you missed in particular in the pandemic, during the pandemic? Which elements of your life have you, I guess, put on hold, waiting for that opportunity to do it again?
I think the people side of things has been hard, not having the interactions with clients at a business level. It's not been the same. It's been incredibly challenging, particularly with new client introductions. I think is hard, because you just trying to build that chemistry, have that
Yeah.
chemistry, and is tough. And establish trust. I think trust is a lot easier. Even if it's a referral from another client, I still feel you need that sense of in-person meetings, if you like, rather
Mm,
than on the you being introduced to somebody on a screen. So I've really missed that. And outside of work, there's no question at all that just that personal interaction, having a barbecue with friends,
mm,
or having people around to the house for dinner, that type of thing, a glass of wine and a catch up, or going meeting somebody in a bar or going to a restaurant, all that side of things. It tends to be, I would say, the biggest aspect of it has been people, family. My
yeah.
my mum is, in her early 70s now, and we've not had the interaction with her as you would have otherwise want. So there's no question on people is a big part of that, and the inability to properly interact.
Mm,
And then I suspect outside of these things, we've all missed our holidays, and I've certainly missed my
mm,
holidays. That ability to sense of travel, that the I think we all value the freedom and that having the being at liberty to just go abroad, book a holiday, a last minute break, is
mm,
so important. And then fitness, from a fitness perspective, the boxing gyms being closed, I've not been able to go up there and you know you know try and keep up with the guys as often as the case up there, but just sweat it off. That type of thing has been greatly missed. But the big thing for me, I love good food, good wine, good company.
mm,
That's been hard. But maybe in all truth, the biggest thing that's been hardest for us is that someone myself with a Christian faith, if not been able to meet, not be able to worship on a Sunday, to go to
mm,
church, has been a huge um, gap for me, in the past year. Very difficult, and
mm.
it's impossible really to call a Zoom service the same as actually being in the church building. So
Yeah, I mean,
very
as
difficult.
you're saying all that, Jonathan, I'm wondering to what extent we can use the stuff that we've missed during a pandemic as a way of trying to understand what our purpose is. And should we look at the stuff we miss, or should we think more about the stuff that we would want to do, even if we had the opportunity to? How do we go about thinking about what our purpose is? 'Cause I'm aware that's not an easy question to answer for many people.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Um, I think it's a very good question, and perhaps maybe we could argue that because of the year we've had, that as financial planners, wealth planners, perhaps we use the last year as a way of establishing exactly from our clients, even existing clients, what have you missed over the past year?
Mm,
What really have you missed? That's a great question, and that you would like to think would certainly be a way of uncovering or defining exactly what's important about money to people, or what's important about their lifestyle. So yeah, I think there's good questioning by the financial planner has got to be a great way of uncovering these things. But also, I think we all need to be taking time to reflect. Do you know this, Martin? I genuinely believe that if there's one thing we can all say, we've probably all really welcomed the change to the speed of life. There's
yeah.
no, the fact that there's a few people, including myself, that I've spoken to, have said that in many respects the pressure's off them. You come off on a Friday, there's no pressure to be anywhere on Saturday,
Mm,
or no pressure to be somewhere on a Sunday afternoon, or because we were constrained, we weren't able to do these things. But there was an element of, oh, thank goodness there's not too hectic a weekend, if you like. And so there's probably a big part of this that we all need to be taking a breath and taking time to properly reflect on
yeah.
the past year, and finding the space to do that. Go for a walk and actually reflect. Where do I want to go? And perhaps by thinking a lot about these things will actually reveal what has been missing from your life before the pandemic.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And one of my biggest concerns as we come out of this and we try to understand what the new normal looks like is it will just slip into old habits, and we
Yeah,
won't go with intention. We won't think actually what served me during this past 12 months. I know it was
yeah,
a horrible set of circumstances that put us to where we are today, but actually there is some good that comes out of this. And thinking
yes,
back to my pre-pandemic life, the two things that I'm definitely not going to sort of fall back into, one is rushing around all week and every weekend to do things like clubs and different sort of fixed time activities with the kids. And we've spoken to the kids about this. Are very happy not to get back into that cycle again of every single evening home from school, rush to have some food and get changed, straight back out the door again, and it was this treadmill. And the other thing for me was I was constantly looking for excuses not to go up to London for meetings, not to sort of go jump in the car for 2 hours to go off places to meet people. And I think we've proven, haven't we, that that's not necessary anymore. You know, if that isn't a lifestyle that you want, you don't have to do it. We can
No.
just as easily connect between Cranley and Dundee via Zoom and have a meeting that has just as much purpose, but also meet people, you know, when it serves us.
Yes, yes, I agree, and certainly it's easy to, over the past year, um, I probably ought to have been in London over the past year 4 or 5 times for
Mm.
various things, and in actual fact, it's been great having that time back. I've still actually
Mm.
attended the very things I would have attended. I've, I've learned the stuff that I would have learned had I been in London for these events, but it's I've saved a day of traveling or
Yeah.
commuting to London and back on the train, and it's time I've not had to be away from the family. But that said, it's back to this people thing. The bit you
Mm.
miss is the people
Yeah.
interaction. It's not the same, is it, as being able to say, "Well, hi Martin, how are you?" and let's
Mm.
grab a coffee and
Mm.
and see the proper whites of your eyes, if you like.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely agree. Like in the book, Jonathan, you refer to something called authentic investing. So can you run us through what that means? How do you invest authentically?
that's a good go. You're trying to catch me out now, aren't you? You're
Not at
really
all, not at all.
determined to catch me out now. Yeah, I love the word authentic. I think it's a word that actually, we do live in an age, don't we, with particularly with social media, where there's a veneer over so much of people's lives, I think, and social media is
Mm.
perhaps being influencing a lot of what's not right in our society, if you like. I like the word authentic. I think the idea of just people not putting on a show and just being who they are, and representing what they stand for, and it, it's a great word. And when it comes to investing, it really is. I think you'd agree. It is really a complicated world out there when it comes to
Mm.
um, investing is simple but not necessarily easy. I think a wise man once said, and uh, and I think the word and authentic simply means for us is something that is systematic. It's driven by evidence or based on the evidence that's available to us, and 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 very much just cuts through the noise and says, look, if you want a successful um, investment experience, then you need a portfolio that is characterized by 3 things, and it's largely going to be one that's a well diversified portfolio, one that is trying to keep costs low so that you as an investor earn or retain a higher percentage of the investment return,
Mm.
and thirdly, you're only taking risks that are supported by evidence,
Mm.
and so it takes the speculation out of it, it takes the market timing out of it, and I think that would probably be what we would, define as a business, what we would define as authentic investing. It's just simply saying, here is the truth. Here, when it comes to investing, here is the truth,
Mm.
and and I think we have a responsibility to do that. Is I I I generally believe that a systematic evidence-based approach to investing is a wise approach.
Mm.
It's likely to give investors that peace of mind that they require. It's they're going to capture most of what the markets have to offer, but most importantly, it's likely to be the funding vehicle for someone's financial future. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important. It's probably why it features as the part 2 of the book. Um, that it's in many respects putting that center stage, if you like. We're obviously importantly talking about what's important about a client and so forth. And once we've
Mm.
defined what's important about money and who's important to them and why these things are important, well, let's talk about what is the engine here. we need to have a vehicle that's reliable to help you get from A to B. So I think authentic investing pulls together all of these, I suppose, all of these aspects, I suppose, is probably the best way of
Yeah.
describing. And of course, the challenge for us, of course, is that a systematic, evidence-based approach to investing is going to be at odds with some people when we start thinking about values-driven investing, where people are very keen to that their portfolio, if you like, is is making an impact, if you like,
Yeah.
on the planet in which we live in. And so, there are some challenges, but I think we could take the principles of a sensible investment approach and apply that to an impact portfolio or a sustainable investment portfolio.
Mm. Yeah, no, that all makes perfect sense. And I guess sort of bringing us back around to where we started about talking about what real wealth is and how it is about much more than money and possessions. That authentic investing strategy should only ever come and support the purpose. It should only come back and sort of be there to help us achieve our goals. It's not the purpose itself, is it? It's the thing that supports the
No.
purpose.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the whole thing for us as advisors, isn't it? Or planners, that once you've defined the what what an individual's desired lifestyle is, and what they want to achieve and what they're passionate about and who they love and all the rest of it, then it's really just about us designing the right portfolio, to help those things be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And part of that means, of course, you and I know that we have to establish at what level a client's going to feel uncomfortable if there's
Mm.
a fall in the value of their portfolio. But at the same time, I suppose where the art of financial planning is around being able to demonstrate to a client how much investment risk they're actually able to take
Yeah.
without it affecting their desired lifestyle, and then of course how much risk do they need to take
Mm.
to achieve their desired lifestyle. So these are the this is why we exist, I guess.
Yes, yeah, the questions we help to answer and yeah, prevent
Yeah,
sleepless nights in the process,
yeah.
hopefully. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us on Informed Choice Radio today. Before I let you go, tell us more about the book and how we get hold of a copy, and also, how we find about you and the work that you do.
Yes, so if you want to find out more about Wells Gibson, our website address is wellsgibson.uk, and there's actually a page on the website that profiles the book Purposeful Wealth. The book is available on Amazon, as you would probably expect, and it's available in paperback, and it's also available as on Kindle as well. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll
That
make sure
answers
we
your
put we'll
question.
make sure we put links in the show notes and description as well,
Yeah,
so
thank you.
our
Much appreciated.
listeners and viewers can find that nicely too. Jonathan, thanks so much for your time. That was great.
Thank you, Martin.